So you mentioned a couple things, and we've got sort of a question that relates to this. Certainly, we know there's virtual interviews, and there's pros and cons to that, right? Quicker, as we mentioned, but can be real awkward. Interviews sometimes are awkward anyways. And then you add the fact that it's hard to read body language. It's hard. The discussion is sometimes disjointed. And then, Joe, you mentioned video interviews. Tell us about that. That's something different, right? We're not just talking about a Zoom call like this.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple different types of video interviews. Obviously, one is like a Zoom, FaceTime, me on one side, you on the other, or me as a candidate, and then three managers that are in a virtual panel setting. Right, that's not all that different from a face-to-face interview in your office, right? It is harder to read body language. It is harder to really develop a rapport early on if it's all through video. So I would recommend the people that you're having do those interviews be very good at building, quick relationships in a virtual standpoint. Train on that if you can. Find people that are just naturally, used to it to conduct the interviews. If it's important that someone that isn't good at it see the interview, ask the candidate to record it so you can share it with your team and they can view it. But right, you want someone that is comfortable in a video setting, that is comfortable building relationships this way, conducting those interviews. I touched a little bit on the one-way interviews for those of you that haven't seen it. And apologize to anyone that uses these, but these are just awful. They are.
Sounds like a dating video. I'm going to date myself, but back in the day.
It's the worst thing in the world, right? So it's me sitting in front of my computer. A question pops up on my screen, and I have 5 minutes to record an answer. There's no one for me to banter with. There's no one for me to see how they're reacting to what I'm saying and tweak my answer. I just have to take a shot. And hope it works. Some of the software suites give you a practice round to 2 minutes to practice, 2 minutes to record. Some don't. It really just depends on what software you're using. We find that the bigger companies, your more Fortune 500, are the ones using this type of software more often than some of the smaller organizations. And they can get away with it, right? Because they have the large brands that kids are going to apply to and want to work for, regardless of how you have to interview.
Trying to thin out the crowd.
Yeah,
there.
but students hate it, right? And just like you would hate it, right? Would you like? Again, I relate things to a sales perspective. Would you like to sell if there wasn't someone to talk to on the other end, right? It's not a comfortable situation. But from an employer perspective, it does allow them to see more candidates. Does allow them to utilize their time more efficiently. So companies are switching to it.